Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Toilet Rampart Guide. In this episode, we will focus on finding the best weapons for Rampart. This is an extension of her passive ability, the Modern Loader, which gives a small buff to LMGs. Now the question is, she has the passive ability, then shouldn't we always pick up an LMG while playing Rampart? The short answer is no. LMGs are not that great in Apex. In this video, I will be rating the LMGs as well as recommending some weapons when you are playing Ramparts. Let's begin by looking at LMG class as a whole. They have extra big magazines, making them suitable for providing suppression fire. However, this comes with 3 costs. The first one is that the reload speed is very slow. The second is that the hip fire is bad. And the third is that the handling speed, or the speed to put away or pull out your LMG, is slow as well. This makes using LMG a lot less fluid, and it just feels so clumsy. That's why they are not as good as other weapons. Now, some of you might think, doesn't that mean Rampart's passive is useful? It enhances the advantage of LMGs, and it also improves one of the weaknesses of an LMG. So shouldn't we make full use of this ability? And in my opinion, her passive is not enough to make LMGs comparable to other mainstream weapons. In the following sessions, I will rate the 4 LMGs in Apex and explain why they are not as good as other mainstream weapons. Let's start from rating the L-Star. The L-Star is currently a care package weapon, and I would rate it a 9 out of 10. The disruptor rounds melts people immediately, there's a lot of ammo reserve, and overall it is just a great weapon. But let's talk about the L-Star before being in the care package. So when the L-Star was before care package, I would rate it a 4 out of 10. First of all, this thing has a very slow handling speed. I just can't play the game fluidly with the L-Star. And second, in order to improve its recoil and the handling speed, you really need a great stock and a great barrel for the L-Star to be usable. So the third issue is that it takes a lot of ammo to use, and energy ammo itself is already rare. So forgive me, L-Star lovers, this is just my honest feelings right there. Let's move on to the Devotion. So I would rate the Devotion a 6.5 out of 10, and the reason for that is it has similar problem with the L-Star. However, it can be even better than the L-Star under specific conditions. So let's talk about the downsides. The downsides is that from my own experience, it burns even more ammo than the L-Star. And second is that it takes a lot of attachments to be actually usable. But the good thing about the Devotion is that when it is fully attached, especially with the turbocharger, it can shred people in close range. So that's why with the turbocharger, I would rate the Devotion a 8 out of 10. But considering its downsides and considering how hard it is to come across a Devotion and a turbocharger in the same game, I would still rate it 6.5 in general. Moving on to the Rampage, I would rate it a 7 out of 10. It is actually a pretty good weapon for mid-range fights. It has a very clear iron sight. You don't really need a extended heavy mag, but you do want to have a purple stock to improve the handling speed and the reload speed. and you can also use a thermite to charge it, and it is somehow borderline usable for close-range fights, but the main purpose of it is still mid-range fighting or shooting. It is not bad, but there are simply better options for mid-range battles. Finally, we have our fourth LMG, the Spitfire. I would rate it a 6 out of 10. It is basically the average guy in the LMG class. Close range, yeah, sure, the hipfire is kind of bad, but at least the fire rate and the damage per second is not that bad, so it is usable. And for mid-range, yeah, sure, Big Mag, but the recoil is kind of bad and you can't put a barrel on it. So for mid-range, yeah, also okay-ish, but again, there are better options than the Spitfire. So I would rather bring some specialized weapons to help me win fights instead of bringing the Spitfire with me. It is not bad in every situation, but there are just better options. So I'm sorry, Spitfire, it is a 6 out of 10 at most. So if LMGs are that bad, then what weapons should I use as a rampart? I will recommend a couple weapons myself, and I'll also rate them and tell you why I recommend them. So let's start with shotguns. When it comes to ramparts, I think shotguns are a must, especially the Peacekeeper and the Mastiff. I would rate them a 9 out of 10. So the reason for that is that first, shotguns hit very hard per shot. If you couple it with the walls, you can even do more than 100 damage per shot. So yeah, one shot can basically change the fight. And second, the handling speed of shotguns are actually pretty fast, and it is very good if you are mid-battle and you need to place down a wall, so shotguns are very good for that. And lastly, shotguns, you can put gold shotgun bolts on them, so when you super glide off her wall, you will basically get a free reload on your shotgun, so it is also another feature that Rampart can fully utilize. If you are looking for some long-range weapons, Marksman will be a great choice for Rampart because of her walls. You can basically peek as much as you want, so you can just stand still and focus on aiming without worrying being shot or being downed. Let's start from the Bocek. The Bocek is a care package weapon for now, and it has a very high damage per shot, high rate of fire, you don't even need to reload, and it is also very easy to hit your Bocek shots. If you come across with a Bocek, definitely pick it up as a Rampart. You will find out that this thing is disgusting with her amped cover. I would rate it a 10 out of 10. Next, we have the Triple Take. The Triple Take is also another solid pick for a marksman weapon. I would say it is a 8.5 out of 10. The rate of fire is decent, the bullet spread makes it very easy to hit moving targets. It does 75 damage per shot through her amped walls, so you can down a red armor player in 3 shots. And it is also very ammo efficient, so definitely give it a try. Next, we have the 3030. I would rate it a 9 out of 10 for Rampart. First of all, it is very ammo efficient, and second, it does 50 damage per shot through her walls. So you can crack a purple shield in 2 shots, and even down a purple shield player in 4 shots. This can definitely put a lot of pressure on the enemy team. And yeah, if you are looking for some powerful poking capability, the 3030 is a great choice. And lastly, we have the 4th marksman weapon in Apex, the G7 Scout. I would rate it a 7.5 out of 10. It is not bad, but it just does the same job as the 3030 or the Triple Take, except one, it takes more attachments to actually be good, and second, it is not very ammo efficient when it is compared to the 3030 and the Triple Take. still a great choice. Let's move on to snipers. Snipers are also a very good choice for Rampart, and the Sentinel in particular is very strong with Rampart. This is because if you charge it up and shoot it through an empty wall, you can do 106 damage per shot. The Sentinel is very good at creating openings or even getting a mid-range knock for you. But the downside of it is that it is not very forgiving. It takes more aim to actually use it effectively. So if you're not confident with your aim, maybe you can start with the 30-30 or the triple take. When it comes to sniper, of course we will have to mention the Kraber. The Kraber is a very good choice for Rampart. I'll rate it a 9 out of 10. The reason for that is because Rampart's wall can amplify the bullets, and that little extra damage guarantees a knock every time you hit a headshot. As far as I know, Rampart is the only legend that can still do a guaranteed knock with a Kraber headshot. So if you are the Rampart of the team and your team come across a Kraber, you should be the one picking it up. However, even though the Kraber is so valuable in a Rampart's hand, I still didn't rate it a 10 out of 10. The reason for that is because the Kraber is not very forgiving. It has a very limited ammo reserve, and the window between every shot is very long. So if you are not very confident with your aim, then maybe you should start from the Sentinel. My last recommended weapon is the Wingman. I would rate it a 8 out of 10. The reason for that is because the Wingman is a very versatile weapon. You can use it close range or mid range. It does decent damage per shot. The handling speed is very fast, so you can place down a wall and keep shooting, and then another wall, and then pull out your gun and shoot again. The only downside of the Wingman is that it is quite demanding on the user's skill. If you strafe in the right way, and if you are good at aiming, then the Wingman is actually a very powerful option. However, if you are not good at aiming, tracking, or you have a slow response time, then I'm sorry, the Wingman is just not a great option for you. So yeah, a powerful weapon, but also very demanding on your skill. So 8 out of 10. There are a lot of weapons that I didn't recommend. So for example, the longbow, I think it is generally worse than the Sentinel. It is a bit more forgiving, but the Sentinel is a lot more rewarding than the longbow. So I think the Sentinel wins, and I didn't include the longbow. The same goes for the EVA 8. It can be good, but I think the Peacekeeper and the Mastiff is just better. They hit harder, so I didn't recommend EVA 8 as well. You may have noticed that I didn't recommend any AR or SMG for Rampart, even though a lot of them are so-called meta weapons. The reason for that is because I don't think full auto weapons work very well with Rampart's walls. When a bullet gets aimed, it has this flashing trail. And if you are using a full auto weapon, you will have this flashing effect in front of you continuously. This makes mid-range or long-range tracking a lot harder and reducing the effective range of these auto weapons. That's why I didn't recommend these ARs and SMGs for Rampart. And by the way, if you want to blind yourself, try the RE45 with the hammer point. I swear this thing looks brighter than my future. There are also guns that I didn't recommend because I don't feel comfortable with them. So this includes the Hemlock and the Prowler. I can never get used to burst gun anyways, so I did not recommend them. But they are objectively great guns, so if you are fine with them, then yeah, sure, go ahead. And lastly, we have the Nemesis and the charge rifle. I didn't recommend these guns because these guns are so annoying. I think they should get heavily nerfed, and yeah, if you use these guns behind a rampart's wall, then you are a terrible person. So I do not recommend these guns. Actually, I don't think the charge rifle should exist in Apex Legends, but that's another story for another video. So yeah, don't use these guns. And that's it. That's how I would rate different weapons for Rampart, as well as my recommendation. But these are just my personal opinion, which means these opinions comes from my personality, it comes from my own playstyle. What you feel is what truly matters. If you are comfortable with a certain loadout, then yeah, sure, go for it. Having said that, I do recommend you to try out more loadouts with Rampart. This is because Rampart is not like other legends. Rampart has Sheila as her third weapon, and Sheila is a very reliable close to mid-range weapon, so you will have more freedom on your weapon choice. You can run a shotgun plus sniper, or you can run a double SMG combo. These are something that you won't try when you are playing as another legend. So when you are playing with Rampart, try to be creative and try more loadouts. That's it. That concludes episode 3 of the Toilet Rampart Guide. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments section and I will answer them. The next episode will be episode 4, Amp Walls. We will focus on Rampart's tactical, and I will be sharing tips on how to use them effectively. Episode 4 will be one of the more valuable episodes in the Toilet Rampart Guide because I will be including some advanced tips in it, which even some Rampart mains had no idea about, or they have never thought about it. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Bye!